Hey, everybody, welcome to Every Damn Friday. Friday's my favorite day. And today I have a wonderful guest, a friend, the king of Lawrence County, but some might call him a prince. Some call him Chico. I call him David Prince. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you, Mr. Mitchum?
Oh, if I was any better, I couldn't stand it. What are
You
y'all school for today?
well, if you can see out my window right now, there's still inches and inches of snow, and we've had it for weeks here, and it's just not going away.
Well, some would say that's a problem, but it's not bad being holed up in the house a little bit.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've kind of been holed up enough. I need to get out and do a little something. Get
You're
a little,
ready for high school kids again?
I am. I think I miss them a little bit.
Well, bless your heart. We were out for it seemed like from Christmas break. We never went back for about a week and a half, and it was rough. I on church on Sunday that last week. I asked Father Michael Charles, said, let's go ahead and pray that they go back to school this week. It's time.
And did it work?
It did. They're back. Amen.
Well, we haven't been back since Christmas break either, and honestly, I'm going to relearn my kids, and it'll be like starting at the beginning of the year again. But I'd say we'll get back next week sometime.
Well, I just saw you perform last week at Byron's fundraiser. Um, you all crushed it as usual. For those that don't know, David, he's had a long, illustrious music career, and he's been doing it for a long time, uh, but has found some pretty significant success in midlife. We'll say midlife.
Let's say that nicely. Thank you.
with uh with Laidback Country Picker. Man, it you and Teresa are so inspiring to me, and I've told you this before. You know, as a fellow midlifer, there's been a few times where I'm like, I think I'm done with this whole music thing. Like it's exhausting, and you get your heart broke all the time, and then I look up and you're all playing Ryman, or you're playing Red Rocks, or you're touring Europe. Um, it's just really inspiring to me what you all have created and uh, and the love that you do it with.
I'm dumbfounded by it myself, and you just don't quit. It's not in our DNA. I remember one time, and it's probably been 30 years ago. I kind of went, I've kind of run this course playing music thing, and I said, and I had a point where I wasn't in a band, and that lasted maybe 3 weeks. And I was like, all right, you quit. You
Well,
have to.
so let's start at the beginning. So you haven't always been a teacher. You were you playing music full time in the beginning?
Yeah, if you want to call it that, man. I got my life got off to a pretty rough start, and I'm just pretty aimless, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Just kind of piddling around doing, dead end jobs. Always playing music. Music was a constant, no matter what I did. I always had some income.
You didn't want a really steady job.
Well, no, because you can't perform and do that. But I
Yeah.
mean, I worked in a garage for a while. I had a little tire business for a while. But I realized education was something I really wanted to be involved in, and I love social studies, and I thought I could teach. And so while I'm playing music, I go back and work, through school and get my degree and start teaching. So no, I've always done this. When I see my kids in school right now and they're struggling to try to figure out they're seniors, where am I going to go to school? What am I going to major in? And some of my like kids, you don't have to know right now. Take a little
We put a
time.
lot of pressure on them.
We do, and we do have some kids, and they know from the time they're freshmen what they're going to do with their lives. But a lot of them don't, and it scares them, man. And it's okay. It's okay not to know.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
I'm sort of the same way.
But you got back. I don't think you ever quit playing music, probably. But you
No.
start focusing on teaching. And that's actually the first time I ever saw you was dressed up as Ben Franklin. I didn't know David Prince, the musician. I knew you as the guy I saw on Facebook at Frankfurt on the steps of the Capitol.
Yeah, and it's all performance. Teaching's performance, doing that stuff at the Capitol is performance, playing in a band's performance. It all ties together with me. And I'm sure you understand that doing what you do.
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to. I have to turn it on a lot with my staff there at camp. I'll tell them, "Hey, look, they don't know that this is week 5. Uh, we have to give them week 1 energy. We have to give them like we've never done this before, and we're excited too. You got to it's a performance.
You
See,
know,
big,
you mentioned that. I've never been to your camp, and I don't know, but we go to something called KYA, which I think you're familiar with. And it's the same thing. They run through about 7 or 8 different cycles of kids for that week, and they got to bring it every time a new bunch comes in.
yeah, you can't phone it in.
No.
And I always, as a teacher, I always kind of felt that obligation and responsibility to like, I may be the one teacher that's connecting with this kid on any kind of level the whole day long. I may be the only one that's saying hi to them, maybe the only one that has any interest in what they're doing outside of this 45 minutes. And it was kind of heavy, at times, but man, it's it's the best. Like but it's delayed gratification, right?
Oh, it is.
Because you don't, because those kids aren't going to tell you right then, man, you're my favorite teacher I ever had. And it may be 4 or 5 years later, and it's the asshole that comes back and says, hey man, you were really hard on me that one time, and now I've got a good job and a family, and though it's like a one good golf shot keeps you coming back over and over again. One kid that you feel like you made an impact, you're like, okay, I think I can make it to retirement.
And I'll tell you the reality of it is, Josh, you're probably not going to get gratification on a lot of them that you actually reached. There's a
Yeah.
lot of those kids you made a difference on them, and you're never going to know that, but you did though, and that's really important.
Well, let's talk about one kid that you did make a difference on.
Let's
Maybe. So you had a student at one time named Timmy Tyler Childers.
Give me time.
How what was that? Because I don't want to like make it more than it was.
Yeah.
Uh, but but the lore is, you taught him in social studies and maybe mentored him a little bit in what he was trying to do, and it seems like he's given that gratitude back to you over the last 5 or 6 or 10 years.
Yeah. Well, first off, there's just like a brotherhood of musicians. If you play guitar, you just kind of look at other guitar players, and you guys already know something that everyone else doesn't know. We got a kinship. So when Tyler rolls into my class as a freshman, I mean, he's playing guitar, and he's a fine little guitar player. I knew his parents, so I knew him.
Right.
He started showing me songs that he'd written, and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is a freshman writing songs this heavy and this deep. And, he asked me a couple like what kind of guitar should I buy, blah blah blah, and just a few things. And I had a band at the time, and he kind of looked up to our band because when you're a kid, you look up to people that are playing music.
Oh
But
yeah.
I didn't do a whole lot for the boy. He already had the goods, man, and he just continued to develop and get better and better and better. And then after he blew up, he really has always remembered us, and he's put us on some big shows that he doesn't have to do, and it's just very sweet. I got to tell you, I was watching him at a I opened for him in Boulder, Colorado at the football stadium out there, and there were probably 50,000 people there. But I looked at all the trucks backstage and all the production and everything they did, and this is like probably $1 million production. And I thought, that's my kid from high school. He made all of this happen because of what he's done and how smart he is. He's such a smart guy. And
And even like maybe even shrewd, like, is a better word, because he could have jumped on a bunch of you know like quick hit, like big, get a big manager, do the thing, and him and Ian were real smart about how they did the whole thing.
And they were, and you're right. They didn't take the easy route. They took the route that gave them credibility that they could go to sleep at night and sleep with and say, "This is the decision we made." And I mean, he stuck to his guns on a lot of stuff, and man, did it pay off.
It did, but and then and that's happening. You're still teaching. You're still playing music. Um, at what point does Laidback come into the picture?
Geez, this has been, I think, about 2017 or 18. And, I've told the story. We had a shirt with my face on it long before there's really a laid back. We developed the
I have
character.
that shirt.
Yeah, we developed the character around that shirt, and I got with the Miles brothers, Kenny and Hayden, who are in Wayne Graham, and we recorded a record at their place, and they played on it. It was kind of fun, but I actually booked a gig, and people came to watch, and I thought, well, I'm kind of onto something here. So I was playing good country music and treating everybody right. But what's happened over time is it ain't country music. There ain't nothing country.
Oh,
I'm a 70s rock guy, and that's just what's, it's slowly risen to the top, and that's really what I do is I play 70s rock music with a hillbilly accent.
well, that's how you would do it, even if you were wearing leather pants and you know, and had
Oh
flames on stage.
yeah, I mean that's you are who you are, and it's going to show up sooner or later.
I used to tell people all the time I tried to write Foo Fighters songs, but it sounded like John Anderson singing Tom Petty. You
Hey,
know,
I'm right there with you, man.
if so, it is what it is. But isn't that the way it happens though? Like you try and you try to make a thing happen, or you think you know exactly the way it's all going to play out, and then serendipity and a little bit of God's magic, throws this opportunity at you, and you kind of say, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
And it turns into this thing.
it does. And again, if it all stopped tomorrow, it's been a great trip,
I mean,
But
you traveled the world as Laidback.
yeah, and yeah, I got to tell you, here's a moment where I just really did a check and went, "What's really going on here?" Is for whatever reason we got with a promoter in France who put us on this bill with Deep Purple and Slade, and they're Motorhead. The Lemmy's dead, so their guitar player Phil Campbell does a tribute to Motorhead.
Okay.
We're all playing this big castle. There's probably 10,000 people in the audience, and the Phil Campbell band's playing, and all they're playing is Motorhead songs. And Motorhead, I mean, Lemmy's a god there.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
finish their set, and those people are going bananas. And they kind of walk past me, and it's like, in 20 minutes, I got to go out there now and play my little songs I made up about a McGough County Cadillac and stuff that don't mean nothing. And you get that imposter syndrome, like,
Oh yeah.
why am I really here? Because this is really the big leagues. And Deep Purple is going to play here in a couple hours. And now I'm going to go do my little thing. But it was fine. It was absolutely fine.
And as long as it's genuine, it'll translate.
And
You know.
they seem to be cool with what we did. But I just had a moment there where I went, this is where you get killed. They're not going to dig this at all.
Well, again, it's like you have to know that you. It's like the 10,000 hours thing. I was talking to Jimmy Mattingly the other day, and he was like, you know, Garth doesn't play all the time, right? But he's like, but I play all the time. He said because at any moment I want to be able to go out and I don't have to think about how to play. All I got to do is think about the job, right? And
Yeah.
and you've done, once you get on stage and it kind of like maybe you get through the first verse, then it's just muscle memory and you're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and you're right. And a lot of people ask, well, what was it like to play to 10,000 or to 40,000? It's not a bit different than in playing to 100. I mean, you're on
It's
stage.
actually I always thought it was harder to play to a half filled room of 35 people.
Oh, it really is, especially if the lights are up and they're watching and you can see them. That's
Yeah,
really hard.
yeah. Then they're like, all right, I'm sitting here with my arms crossed, impress me, and
Yeah,
you're
that's
like,
hard.
I don't know if I got this.
When there's a big crowd, there's a whole other dynamic. You raise your hand up like this and everybody goes, because that's just what they're trained to do.
This
So
is true. This is true.
I
But
want to go back to talk about what you talked about being ready when it's your time. I'm a huge. There was two bands as I was really starting to get my act together that influenced me a ton, and that's the Georgia Satellites and the Kentucky Headhunters, because they're all country guys who happen to have a hick accent, but they love British rock. So
yeah,
that's what. So I start following the Satellites around, and they befriended me, and they said, "Hey, you want to get in the van and go around with us for a little while?" And I couldn't believe they did that. So one night they let me get up to play guitar with them on a song. And I was scared to death, and I pretty much sucked it up. Like I was awful. And I thought, you had one chance to play with the Georgia Satellites, and you blew it because you weren't ready.
yeah.
And I kind of said, from now on, I'm going to be ready. And then I got to play tons more with them, and I kind of, redeemed myself. But you're right. You get yourself ready because when you get that opportunity, you got to be good to go.
And that goes for everything.
You're right. You're right.
What any and I've people have told me a lot of times that, um, man, you're lucky. All these things you've gotten to do, and I did not deny the luck. There's luck plays a big part in all the cool things I've gotten to do in my life. But I was also always accepting of that luck. Like I'm looking for opportunities instead of just having my head down, going, "Oh, that'll never happen to me." And a lot of people miss out on stuff just because they don't have their head up. looking for it. And you seem like a guy who says yes a whole lot more than you say no.
I do, man. And like what you do with your and social media and the way you portray yourself. I mean, a lot of times I'm sure I come off as being a whole lot bigger or more important than what I really am. And that's just that's advertising. That's how you
It's
play the
part
game.
of it.
It is. And once again, there's a side of me that goes, who you trying to jive, man? But it works. I went to Europe.
Yeah, it is, and I don't think it's not fake. It's the man, it's the Wild West right now, and it's there's well, and the other thing too is that somebody told me you can, because sometimes I'll post like I got a record coming out, I got a record coming out, and I feel like I'm making the same post over and over again, and but you got to do it, you got to do it, a lot to get in the algorithm or whatever, however
You're
you
right.
say that word, uh, but it's but you're going to get tired of it long before the audience does, and before they even see it. You maybe got to post something 10 times before even your fans see it. So it's just part of the game, man. It's a I don't know, and for somebody like me who doesn't get to go out and play a lot anymore, or don't get to tour like constantly, social media and YouTube and all those things have made it uh, to where you can still be engaged in a music community without burning the road up.
Yeah, it's incredible what all the social media has done. And if you go back 30 years, I couldn't have imagined something like this opening the doors that it
Oh
opens.
my God. I mean, I remember was it like LimeWire and Napster and
Yeah.
like I felt like it ruined the music industry because I was trying to get a record deal at the time, and I'm like, oh man, they're giving music away. I will never get a record deal now, which was correct. Um, but it's I don't know. There's a lot of noise, but I think if you work really really hard, and like I got a record as we record this, I got a record releasing today, and I've had some luck with some playlists and some things I really had no business being on, except that you cold email them, and then you build a relationship, and you wear them out, and you keep reminding them, and you're steady, and you don't you stay in their consciousness and work it, and it's all, I guess it's all about hard work, and that can be a lot of different things.
It really is. And too, Josh, I mean, you are really good and your songs are really good and you're great in front of an audience. I mean, you got everything you need to be up here. But you're right, the hard work is what pays off and you just keep doing it. I saw some interview with Rob Zombie a couple nights ago and he was saying, if you're good, people are going to find out. You just stay in the game. And that's really it. You stay in the game, you do all that hard work that you were talking about, and good things happen.
Well, and you've stayed in the game, and you are very close to retirement, correct?
83 days away.
Woo-hoo!
That
But
would
who's
be cool.
counting?
Nobody's counting, but it's 83.
So, so is the plan after that to really ramp up, the touring and do it a little bit more full time, or that depend on Teresa too? Like, what's the?
Well, we both retire this year.
Oh man,
And so absolutely is just we are going to play. We both are 60 years old. And I figure I've got 10 more years in my body holding up to where I can go play on stage. So we just want to play as much as possible. That's the goal. Teresa will do some Loon and the Mountain Jet stuff, and then we'll do laid back country picker stuff. And
I may like. No offense, but Luna and the Mountain Jets, I may like it better than Laidback. Just saying.
it's real. I mean, she writes real songs, and those are really good.
See, of course I had y'all here at the barn, and that's still one of the favorite shows of the people who are around here. Just thought that was just, of course they love Teresa and they love the boys, and then of course you going out in the crowd with your wireless pickup, and they just never seen anything like it.
Cheap tricks is all it is.
Hey,
It's entertainment. It's show
it
business.
is.
That's
Look,
what
and
you
I
do.
think that's the thing too that I love about you is that, like, you're a first class guitar shredder, uh, but you're not too cool to tuck your blue jeans in your boots and put your Motorhead cowboy shirt on and just go out there and have fun, and knowing that sure you could go out there and and be this be the best 70s rock cover band ever, right? Or you could even original music that you are trying to take yourself, and I know you're taking music serious. I'm not trying. I don't think laid back is your stick. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I think it is 100% you being David uh, with a little bit of flash. You know.
Yeah, it is. And once again, I saw Geddy Lee say the best thing about this ever the other day. He said, "We take our music very seriously, but we don't take ourselves very seriously." And
Yeah.
that's the thing. I'm not afraid to be a clown, but musically, I want it to be right.
Yeah, you're crushing it. And that's kind of part of the thing too. It's like you like somebody may who doesn't know what they're walking into may go, "What the hell is this?" Like
Yeah.
this,
Oh, well, yeah. A lot of people
and
don't.
then they, but you're hitting them with with great songs, and then you forget. Like then you stop paying attention to the other stuff.
Yeah,
And
there's two bands that really influenced me in that route, and that's Southern Culture on the Skids and Webb Wilder. And both of them have great senses of humor and they have a good time. But I mean, when you get down to the end of the day, they're great musicians.
Yes. I was thinking of Webb Wilder earlier. I remember we got to open for Webb Wilder at Kelly Green's in Bowling Green real early on in my music career, and I was a musical idiot. Like I did, I first time I saw Sam Bush, he was playing in Duck Butter uh, and playing playing an SG, and I thought, man, this guy's a really good guitar player. And somebody like punched me. It's like that's Sam Bush. He's the greatest mandolin player ever. You know, and it was the same with Webb. I'm like, who is this old guy coming in here? Of course, he
Yeah.
probably was 35 at the time, but
Yeah.
I was like, who is this guy? And he just annihilated everybody. It was I don't know. And again, I, if you're like everybody else, it's just going to run its course. And when that fad or when that falls out of favor, you go away and never to be heard from again. But if you're banging your own drum, which is definitely what you're doing, it's got a place. And I think it's even more than just having a cult following. Like it's a it's something that'll last. And I don't know. I think you got 20 years left. I think you're going to be fine.
If I don't straighten my diet up, I'm not going to have it.
Mm,
Just like you mentioned talking about people that did that. I think Marty Stewart's the king of that. It's like he just created his own category.
yeah.
I'm Marty Stewart, and this is what I do, and it's just what he feels. It's pure. He doesn't care where it fits in and where it doesn't. And I will pay good money and walk to go see him every time he comes to town because it's just incredible.
Well, like you said, Jen Tackett, and I've quoted her the other day. I've quoted her multiple times because as people who are in the music scene and working to try to get some traction, and sometimes you bump up against stuff, or you look around and uh, comparisons of thief of joy, and she was always like, quit trying to sit at other people's tables, just build your own table and
Yeah.
do your own thing. And like you said, like now you've got a table that people are wanting to come sit at. uh it's kind of a weird table. it's
It's a
got
weird,
it's it's
it's
got
not a
some
bad table.
characters, but there's probably a feast in the middle of it. It's a I don't know. You've just been such an inspiration to so many Kentucky musicians, and to me especially. And it's been I've been blessed to get to know you and Teresa the way I have. A lot, and a lot of that has to do with some of the other special people like Byron throwing festivals, and Tiffany down at Master Musicians, and you know continuing to support Kentucky artists and getting us together in those kind of places where we get to visit instead of just giving each other high fives as you leave the stage.
Yeah, you're right. And when I got to know you, musically, I loved what you guys were doing. And then to find out, you were an educator as well. And then there was just that other level of kinship. But you're just one of those people I feel like I've known for a long time, and I've just got tons of respect for you. You're a good man, Josh.
Hey, likewise, my friend. And,
Can
and
we
you know,
just sit here and talk about how great we are? Is that what this is?
I think it is Mutual Admiration Society.
That's it. That's it.
Well, and like I said, tens of people will be watching this. So,
There we go.
and those people, whoever watches it, including my father, will agree that both of us are good guys.
Hey, your dad is aces in my book, man. He's a
Ah,
great dude.
well, and he was the one guy early on. Like I mean, they always encouraged me, right? But when I quit teaching to go play full time, he was kind of like, I don't know what you're doing, bud. Like this isn't a great idea. And it took a long time for him to it. And he's admittedly he's like, I'm not a creative person. He's like, I'm the guy who needed a stable job and go to work. Uh, I get off on the weekends, and that's when I do something that I think's fun. It took him about a year or so for him to go, I get it. I don't understand it, but I get it. You have to make something every day. You got to do something new and exciting every day. And once you've made it, you're done with it and you're ready to go to the next thing. He's like, I don't understand it, but I think I know why you have to be this way. And that was good enough.
Yeah,
And now we go to concerts together all the time, and that's something we've kind of done too. Is he'll pick out a concert and I'll pick out a concert, and we'll buy tickets and take each other to see things. And uh,
that's real.
I don't know, music is the great unifier.
Oh, it really is. It brings people together from all sides.
Um, what what do y'all got coming kind of on the horizon? I mean, I know it's winter time, and that's not the best time for you to be out roaming the roads, but
Yeah, we're just floating around doing, we're probably playing almost every weekend through the winter, maybe a couple weekends off, and that's fine. I want to keep my chops up a little bit, but as summer hits, we're looking at going to Europe again and also Australia in October. I'm talking with a promoter down there, so and this is all new territory because before my life was very structured. Like I played weekends through the school year, then during the summer I tour hard and then go back to weekends. But
right,
after this year, I can do whatever I want whenever I
all
want.
bets are off.
Yeah, but and also it's a little scary because I don't know how to plan that. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Well, is there? I mean, maybe this is a dumb question, but are you utilizing like Ian on any of like strategy stuff? Are you looking at getting an agent or you know?
I do have a booking agent, and they're in
Okay.
California. But as far as a personal agent, I don't have that. And as long as I'm doing what I'm doing, and I think I'm okay, I'm not going to go that route.
Well, you've got Teresa too, which
And
helps.
the voice of reason is what she is, so it's always good to have her input. But now I can go play 3 weeks up in the Pacific Northwest and then come back and am off 2 weeks. I just don't know how it's going to work, but I'm sure
Well,
I'll figure it
but
out.
That's how retirement is anyway. Like Dad doesn't know what day of the week it is. I'm sure today, unless he knows when church is, but the rest of it is a blur.
It's all Saturday, isn't it?
Yes, I aspire to retire.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Teresa, not so much. I mean, Teresa, not that I don't love my job. I still like being with the kids, but I'm ready to go play music now. Teresa is not letting go as easily. I mean, she's
But she
struggling.
but she has babies. Like that's a
Oh,
whole different thing when they come up, hug your leg, and
uh,
tell you how much they love you. And
yeah, she gets tons of love. Freshmen just don't do
no,
that.
they don't. They're picking their nose and trying out bad words for the first time. Like they're a bunch of little jerks.
But
I
I mean,
loved them too, but yeah, they were jerks.
yeah, it's a different animal.
Um, man, I I don't. I've said it already in this podcast, but just to see like Luna singing at Red Rocks, or to see you sitting backstage with Sturgill and them at the Ryman. Like it is constant. There's so many things that you've done that are a constant inspiration to people out there that, like Dallas Moore said, just don't go away, amigo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
just
I've known that dude for 30 years and he was hammering then and he's hammering
yeah,
now. I mean,
and
nobody puts more miles on a van than that guy. It's incredible how much he plays.
but it's like I was talking to oh, I just went completely blank. Um, Greg Martin on the phone the other day because we're going to do an interview next week,
He's
and
a
I was like, so I said, so what are y'all doing? Like 30, 40 shows a year now? Like, have you kind of settled it? He goes, no, man. He said, it's like 70, 75. He's like, we got to keep the bus. And he said, now, there's going to come a point where that's got to slow down. He's like, but, right now, for the foreseeable future, we're just going to keep hammering.
It's all they know. That's just what
Yeah.
they. I
Or
mean,
Billy
they
Gibbons,
don't-
any of those people, it's like, what are you going to start playing golf? Like,
yeah. Well, poor old Bob Dylan. I mean, he will do that until he's dead because that's all he knows to do.
man, I saw him at the Palace. It's been a couple years ago now. And people always talk about how it's either the best show you've ever seen, or he comes out and he like pulls the asshole card and turns his back to the crowd or whatever.
Yeah.
He was so good. I couldn't imagine him at 80. I couldn't imagine him being better at 40.
Right.
That he was. Like, it was just like I caught him on a good day, and it was so so good. I haven't seen the movie yet though. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's great.
Is it?
Yeah. And I've seen Bob a couple of times in the last 7, 8 years, and both shows were good. And I go in kind of skeptical. I think these movies where you're playing a person and you're doing the singing is going to suck. It does not suck, man.
Okay, good, good.
The guy kills it.
Um, man, it's again, I could talk to you forever, but uh, I I know you probably need another cup of coffee,
I
and you
do.
probably
I
got.
want to get off one thing before we cut off because you were
Okay.
talking about being an inspiration to people. I'll tell you who the real inspiration is Teresa, because when she dresses up in that honey gear, and she's doing her thing, one, she doesn't speak, and there's just this level of tenseness the whole show. And then at the end of the show, she smiles and talks to the crowd, and people love it. It's just like a release, like, oh, you're a human. But the girls that go and talk to, I should say women who just gravitate to her after the show. And so many people said, you inspire me because, you're an older person and you've taken up playing drums and it's girl power and you're doing something you want to do. And it's huge. Teresa is a major inspiration on people to just do what you want to do. And it's really cool to see that happen.
Well, and you are a beautiful testament to a marriage and love and supporting each other, and that's also an inspiration too in itself. I
I'm
don't
a
know if
lucky
Stella
man.
and I can go on the road together.
You never know.
Well, we have talked about it, kind of in the vein of what you're all doing, like because we'll retire about the same time also. And I was like, let's get a sprinter. You tell me which beach to point towards because that's where she wants to end up. And I said, we'll spend 3 or 4 or 5 days, getting free beer and food at some shitty little pub somewhere, and then
Yeah.
we'll land on the beach that you want to sit at for a week.
I mean, that's a great plan. And with Teresa and I doing the two piece the way we do it, I mean, we love running around looking for junk stores and pawn shops anyway. And if we
You
could
have to
just,
get you have to get something with a trailer that you can pull a trailer with, I guess, if you're gonna buy a bunch of antiques and.
I know. Well, I'm not so much antiques as I am my amps and guitars, but you're right. We need to pull something behind us to haul it back with. But, we would be running around doing this if we weren't playing music. So the
Right.
fact that we could actually break even and get a sandwich out of it is pretty
There you
good.
go. Well, it's like I'm going to the UK in April, and I'm taking Stella, and Will's a senior, and so we've decided to take him as his senior trip.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play we're just gonna be there for like just under a week. I'm gonna play 3 days, but we're
Did
gonna.
you talk to Mike West that I tried to hook you up
I
with?
did. I ended up with a lady named Kat, who kind of Lance Rogers has been working with, and him and Hunter Flynn are going over in
Right.
February. She's wanting to kind of do it full time, and she loves Kentucky musicians, and she's trying to be that bridge for people that want to come over and build an audience.
Good.
So it's going to be neat. But Will might get his first legal beer over there in because he only got to be 18, right?
Right. And they got it over there.
It could be trouble. David, I appreciate you so much for coming on here. I, I I can't wait to see how things turn out for you when Laidback is not part time and he's full time. Like that's gonna be amazing. Trips to Australia, like listen,
Oh,
you're gonna be the next Angus Young.
I don't know. Angus Old, I
Yes,
think is.
well, he's still doing it. Maybe he'll jump on stage with you.
Man, I got tickets to see him in a couple months, and I'm so excited. I've never seen him, and I thought I got to go. I got to see him.
You got to do it, man. Well,
Yeah.
buddy, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to see you again real soon and hug your neck. Uh, it was great to see you out there at Manchester with all the other Kentucky folks. That was a great night. got to hug Byron's neck too. So,
Yeah, it
buddy,
was
I wish you nothing but the best. If people want to see what's going on, where do they need to go?
laidbackcountrypicker.com.
He's got vinyls, he's got t-shirts, he's got
Oh,
all the stuff, and he'll
you know,
fix you up.
people need to start thinking of Christmas next year. So come on down. Josh, you're the best, man.
Hey, buddy, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for listening and watching every damn Friday. Go to YouTube, subscribe. We got lots of good guests coming up in the next couple of weeks too. So thank you, David. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye.